Rosa is here.
And
yeah, hi, Vicky.
so today is Sunday, June 16, and this is an NGL intro, glimpses of interdependent living from straw to gold within the fire seed pod.
Thank you. Before going much further, I just want to ask Rosa if it's how you feel about us saying who you are in our life.
It's fine. I read something yesterday on on your post. So it's fine if you feel like I wouldn't have, but it's okay.
It's there is a way that I believe the flow of appreciations in response to generosity is something that is life energy coming back to us to give us food. And I would like you to have that food. But if you don't want it, I won't force it on you. So you would
Go
rather
ahead.
not?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so
It's
let me
also
go ahead.
It's also really aligned with the purpose of the call
Yes.
itself. So yeah.
Yeah. So now everybody's like, okay, say it. So we'll say it now, even though it's not in any moment. We are where we are because of Rosa, not where we are in Catalonia, but in the particular apartment, because when we needed a place to stay, Rosa said, I have a place. And she was going to sell the place. And instead of selling it, we are living in it and we're just covering the expenses. So there isn't actually rent per se. And it is the most amazing gift of support for our project that I can imagine anyone giving. And Rosa is making it into a no big deal, which is part of why it's such an amazing gift. Because it's given like, hey, isn't that what anyone would do? No, it's not. It's only what some people do, those of us who have this energy of seeding the flow of generosity. So I wanted to acknowledge you in that. And I'm so happy that you're here because you've always wanted to know more than you already know about what we're doing. So, yeah. So,
I want to say one more thing about it. Oh, and Rosa wants to speak too. You go.
Yeah, can I say something? Just a couple of sentences. I may miss some of what you say in my English, but I'll try. I just wanted to say that I've learned from you, and it's been constructing my own way of seeing life. One of the well, my internal battles was about some privileges I have, which are not a lot, but a little bit. And I learned that privilege comes from system probably, and our responsibility is what we do with it. So it came as an opportunity for me to be in peace with myself. So I want to thank you as well for accepting it, because it's good for me as well, and I'm in peace.
Thank you. And Emma, you wanted to say something about it.
Yeah, just I think that these moves that we both made, like the one that you just described, Rosa, and also us putting out our need and just kind of saying, yeah, I don't know, like inviting and allowing people to kind of carry that with them is what brought us and Rosa together, because we didn't actually know each other before. It came through someone that was supporting us, giving Rosa a lift somewhere and talking about it, and then like that kind of thing. But we were really orienting to putting out the need and seeing what came back, and not with this kind of tight, where are we going to go kind of thing, but this a lot of trust in life within the straw to gold orientation, that it kind of necessitates like looking for the openings. That's part of the transformation that happens within it.
Yeah, I also want to say that in 2000, some of you will know this, in 2017, I was in Chile with my sister Anina, who some of you know, at an IIT, which is an international intensive training in NVC. That was like 9 days. I don't remember exactly how long it is. And it was in a place called Punto Cero, which means 0, which is very near where the struggle for independence from the Spaniards started in Chile. And the place was built with a lot of whatever the people who started it understood from indigenous wisdom. So there are no straight lines in the pathways going from the kitchen to the meeting room. It's not a straight line. You go, you meander, it takes you to different places, all kinds of things. It feels
back in a second. We have internet issues here. And I have no clue what she was going to say, so I'm not able to pick up. Maybe we can just hear from a few people, like what it is that inspires you to come to this particular call, just while we're waiting for her to, for the internet to come back or to get a hotspot or something. Let's just have some of your inspiration in the room to kind of feed the space. So just raise your hand if you want to share something. Yeah, Dylan?
Thank you. I just got on. It was later than I thought. I'm like, oh, wow. And I have lived with people and we've shared some things, but not in the way that I think that you all are engaging with each other to the consciousness level of making decisions completely together. So just the depth, I think, of which you are experimenting, I'm interested in hearing about and celebrating. And so that's why I'm here. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you. I just want to finish the loop from before.
Okay.
Which is, it was when we were in Chile that I first connected with that sense that life is a flow. That life is arranged to care for all that lives through an endless flow of energy and resources. And that humans have interfered with that flow through accumulation and exchange. And we can restore this flow through uncoupling, giving from receiving, and the flow of generosity and all of that. And towards the end of the session where I talked about it, was the first time in my life that I actually felt Gaia, the name that people attribute to planet Earth as a living being. I felt it. It's very hard to put in words. Obviously, there are no linear words for it. With some sigh of relief that we are doing this, and also some sense that those who care, who are trying to restore flow, will be supported by Gaia. And a moment like Rosa supporting us to be where we are feels like within that sense that when you surrender to trust in life and to giving, there's some way that things come back. Also, challenges come, but still there is some flow of generosity that has sustained us. We would not be able to do what we're doing without a huge field of interdependent focus on us. Yeah, I just wanted to close that loop. That's part of why it's so significant to the purpose of this, because if we're talking about interdependence, about Stordo Gold, about doing the things that we're doing, we can't do them with the old linear consciousness. That's not possible. We need to surrender ourselves somehow to restoring trust in life, even when it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And Emma, you were asking people why they're here?
Yeah, what inspired them to come here. And we had Katarina, if you're up for sharing.
Yeah, I was intrigued to know more just about moving towards like a purpose partnership and how that could be like a doable step for me to sort of having like flow and more meaning in life, just as well as like many other things about like distributing like resources according to needs and having sort of more support in relationships through pods that I think would maybe be an antidote to sort of a lot of the painful things that have happened in the past in relationships and the ways we kind of have done things until now. So that's why I came.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shall we hear from one more person? And then I was thinking of putting people into groups for just a few short minutes so people can crystallize whatever questions they have.
Yeah,
and
great.
come back. Yeah. Anybody else wants to share what brought you here? Natalie.
Yeah, hello. I have this sense, so this sense about life holding you is very much present in my life. And I've taken the habit of putting my needs in my my email signature. And like even recently, you're talking about this example of housing. Like I want to learn Spanish, and I was like, if anybody has a house where in a Spanish speaking country, and then I just put that in my email, and so somebody responded, and so now I have that. And so I have this sense of this deep trust that life cares for me and flows resources through me, and I flow resources into life. But the part where I get in trouble is when it's actually organizing people. Like when you put people together to do that, that's where it gets complicated. I have the sense that life in general does that for me, but that organizing people does not really quite work, just because of all we are on different journeys in our liberation. So I'm just curious to see how you all have navigated that.
Thank you. All right. So, Ian, can you put people in groups of 3? I'm thinking at most 10 minutes, just to be able to kind of like think through why you're here, what you are interested, and kind of like formulate questions and then come back.
Okay. Oh, for 10 minutes, you say?
Yeah, that means 9.
Okay. Okay, I'll open the rooms now.
Thank you.
Maybe Mickey is having a fabulous conversation in their pod. There she is.
I was just waiting to hear the recording in progress, and here I am. Yeah. So we'll now respond to questions as they arise, and there may be people here who have not been before. I always invite people, at least at the beginning of our time, to consider whether it's easy or hard for you to speak. And if it's hard for you to speak, I invite you to raise your hand earlier than other people, to take a risk. We don't get to liberation without risks. Take a risk. You have a question. We want to hear it, especially if you don't usually speak, and especially if you are part of groups that statistically don't speak. And if you yourself or you're part of a statistical group where it's easier for people to speak, the invitation is for you to lean into opening your heart to receive from others, to be curious. What are other people's questions? What can I learn through hearing the response to someone else's question that isn't mine? That's it. That's the invitation. Now raise your hand. All right, Katerina, and then Aurora.
I guess I'm wondering specifically about experimenting with moving from like a romantic sexual relationship in a couple to trying to shift towards like a sort of like a shared purpose partnership. And I'm kind of wondering, like I imagine that involves kind of taking time to sort of like sit and see if you can come up with like a shared purpose together. And I'm kind of wondering, like I imagine there would be some overlap in between kind of like purposes, but also that like not everything is exactly like the same, like being different people. And I guess I'm just kind of wondering, like, like what, like sort of, like is it like what to do with those maybe parts of the purpose that aren't the same, or like or is it that like one can have like multiple purposes maybe within different partnerships? I guess that's kind of my question, just around like different people having different sort of visions for life, and sort of how, like I imagine there's overlap between people's visions, but how you sort of like integrate that into like a partnership where maybe there's parts of purpose that overlap, but like not everything is exactly the same kind of thing.
Emma, I don't know if you want to respond. I have a question before responding, if that's okay, Emma. My question is, why would you want to shift from a romantic sexual? That was your question too?
This is exactly what I was going to say, yeah. But I was going to give a bit of background to the
Okay,
question.
go for it. Go for it.
So we need to kind of speak about the larger structures to be able to talk about the smaller ones. And it's something I'm researching a lot at the moment. I don't have all of the like details to give you a really full picture, as full a picture as I'd want. But the family structure, like what we call family, as it exists now in the structure that most of us know it, is not something that is had been a constant throughout time and in different cultures and all of that. Like there are many, many, many different forms that family takes. You know, it can't even be defined as like a mother-child relationship as part of the family. There are like different cultures where it's more like children go and live with other people, or like it's more connected to the fact, or it's just completely, it's so multi-possibility that we can't even define it in any way that we can imagine that it is now. But the things that I've understood that do define family is one, that it is something that we learn is biologically natural. So whatever the structure that we've learned to call family is something that we have learned is biologically natural. And therefore, it's a structure that requires less voluntary what's the word? I don't know, it requires us less to say yes to it from a sense of choice, because we think that it's biologically and naturally given. And the reason why that is important is because the family structure is one that the state, or I guess the patriarchal system, or whatever system we're in, uses that unit, the family unit, whatever it is, to both define what people's roles are within the family and what the dynamics are, and also how those people relate to other people in society. So it creates a whole like structural flow within society, and it also defines like how we rebel against society. So like I can say like, I don't want to be this particular role that I've taken, I'm going to take on this other role, but it's all still within the same structure of family. So it's kind of like how the whole thing is held together. It's like a very core linchpin of the overall system that we live within. So if and the part, like what you call romantic sexual partnership, of that looks like is a really core thing that we are trained into in some form throughout our lives, through seeing our parents, seeing other people around us, media, images, music, like everything. The whole culture is basically pumping in that form that we're meant to like fall in love with someone, have this kind of romantic relationship that then, like, you know, in the form that we're most meant to follow is like having children, having a family, having whatever that continues the system. It's part of what perpetuates the system. So if you're wanting to shift to a purpose partnership from that structure, the reason why Mickey's asking this question is like, what is your actual purpose with wanting to shift outside of that structure? Like, what is your yes, and what is the yes of the person that you're wanting to create a partnership purpose partnership with? What is their yes to actually, I guess, nonviolence and doing liberation, doing the necessary work to take the steps of experimenting with what it means to step outside of that entire structure. That's like on the biggest form of it. So I would, so if you are saying yes to a particular thing in wanting a purpose partnership, it's really important that the other person is also saying yes to that same thing, and that you're not just trying to create a purpose that I don't know, won't necessarily hold because you're not actually on the same page of where you're going. So yeah, just wondering if that, oh, you disappeared. There you are. Yeah, wondering if that resonates, and if you have a sense of like what your yes actually is. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, I was on mute. So like why would you even want to consider like a purpose partnership in the first place, and sort of like bringing the other person into like why you might want to consider, or why would you want to even considering like a purpose partnership with me kind of thing, or just in general?
Why would you want to do that, and why would they want to do that at all, like regardless whether with you or with anyone?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to add something to this, which is I don't know what you actually mean. On a certain level, what you said sounds like, okay, now the thing to do is to exit a romantic sexual relationship and build a purpose partnership. That's the next thing to do. In order to do that, we need to find a purpose. So how are we going to find the purpose, and what do we need to do to have a purpose? And it's kind of like upside down for me. For me, it starts from there's a purpose burning in me. And that purpose that is burning in me, I would like to do it with this person because maybe we already have a lot of relationship and intimacy and connection with each other. And maybe I don't like what our romantic sexual relationship looks like, but there is a lot of friendship and intimacy that we can repurpose into the purpose partnership, but it starts from the purpose. So MI and I never had a romantic sexual relationship. It was from day one focused on purpose. We didn't have the term purpose partnership, but it was from day one clear. There's something we're looking at and we want to go there. It's a very different thing from like, okay, we are in this romantic sexual relationship. Now what next? Do you feel the different energy field, Katrina? I see other people nodding, but I'm not sure about you.
Yes. Yeah, I think I can sense the difference.
So now with that, I would love for you to answer Emma's question and my question. Just look at what is it that is pulling you in that direction.
I guess like kind of what you just said, like I see that there is a lot of sort of like intimacy and friendship that can be repurposed to having sort of like more meaning and flow and sort of like outward service towards other people rather than just like generating income to support both of us. I like specifically for me, I think it's just like a really strong like desire to sort of work creatively in ways that are like contributing to people and the planet in ways that I would like to be sort of contributing to people and the planet. It's just kind of like, I guess at base it's just to sort of have like more meaning and flow and sort of sense of fulfillment and service to like the community and the greater world than just kind of like focusing like inwards on like maintaining ourselves financially. Yeah.
I have another question to you, which is, when I listen to you, it sounds like all of this was not easy to say. Is that true?
Yeah.
Can you speak to that?
I guess just just recently, I've just been like really aware of sort of roles women are conditioned into, and how a lot of the work is just like forcing people to do things that they don't want to, or a lot of the like so-called work is doing that, and how I'm just really wanting to sort of like restore the movement of my body, and kind of be able to sort of just like be alive in the work that I do, and make sort of decisions that I can stand behind, and it's just been such a long time of not doing that, and yeah, I just don't see clearly yet like how that would even be possible with like the sort of resources and access to what I have now. So
I think now I understand maybe what was difficult about speaking, and I want to check with you, which is in saying all these things publicly. It's not a hugely large group like it sometimes is, but it is a group of people, many of whom you don't know. In saying all this publicly, it's like making a small commitment that you're actually doing it. Like you're actually starting the steps. And then as you're hearing your voice speaking, it's like, oh my God, am I actually ready for this? And then there's a bit of backpedaling, but the answer from within is, yes, I will say the next word. I will say the next word. I will say the next word because I'm going somewhere. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really glad I asked, because what I discovered I find really, really, really moving. Because it reminds me of a bumper sticker that I once saw. If anybody knows it more accurately, please correct. I'm thinking Janice would know. Women who behave well don't make history. Is that the one, Janice? Yeah. Janice is an activist. That's why I was thinking she would know. There is something so profound about needing to learn to not behave well in order to take ourselves seriously. And that's what I'm seeing you doing, and that's why it's moving to me. And my sense is that the original question that you asked is not so important. As in you, and maybe Emma has more to say about that, but in me, it lives like you are starting a journey and you will discover what is needed. Maybe what is needed is to actually exit this relationship. Maybe what is needed is to transform it. Maybe what is needed is something completely different. You don't need to know that. What you need to know that is that you are committed to taking the journey and to have a sense of the magnitude of it. Emma, anything you want to add?
Just it keeps coming to mind that with my last like partner, like romantic partner, yeah, there was a kind of gradual but very sure shift for me into more purpose-aligned work, or purpose-aligned just orientation in my life, and like more anchoring in what my yes was to. And I developed this very clear belief, which is still what I'm actually following. And it just came way before I found MVC, which is that the belief that if we humans can learn to listen to ourselves deeply enough, then we would organically design our environments in ways that work for all beings. That was it, and that just became really clear. And it's like I need to do things that go in that direction, and then I just followed that, and then it became clear that staying where I was with this person I was with was not actually going in that direction. And so, I mean, there are many reasons why it didn't work out, but yeah, I ended up leaving and then coming to the US, and then I'm on this path that I'm on now. I met Mickey somewhere, and it's just like, oh, this is the next step on the journey. So I just followed it. So it's just like finding whatever that that place is within you right now that you're taking the next step and the next step and the next step from, and just keep going and keep like really trusting it, and like uncovering more and more what that sensation is in you, or what the colors are of it, or whatever it is, and how you notice it, and just really amplifying it, and then continuing to follow. And I trust that it will take you to where you need to go. Yeah.
Thank you both.
Before turning to Aurora, I would like to know if there's anyone who has any follow-up on this that you want to say or ask. Yeah, Janice.
I guess it brings me to a question of looking at, so many of the relationships that we have in our lives, and we know that we don't have shared purpose with maybe most of them. And there's such a sadness and a mourning in that understanding, that I look around at people that I care about, but actually we don't care about the same things. And I'm at a place in my life where I'm thinking, do I need to like really just walk away from some of these relationships where there isn't shared purpose, not even a, just maybe just a fraction of shared purpose, but not enough to warrant me spending very much time with them. And it makes me very sad.
The only piece I would say, other than the one that you know, which is mourn, mourn, mourn. I don't need to say that one many more times, but maybe I do. The only additional thing that comes to me is don't make that decision on your own. Make it with the other person. Be completely honest and transparent with the other person about the dilemma that you're in. And where are they? What is it that they want? What makes sense to them? Do they see a reason for the relationship to continue? I have shifted very much who I keep in touch with and who I don't. And pretty much all of it was me talking with people about it, and people reaching an understanding with me that it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Thank you. Makes so much sense.
Anything else related to this thread? Dylan, are you in that same thread?
I am, but then all of a sudden I'm like, no, don't speak. It's okay. You don't have to speak. So yeah. And okay. So in the pod, that in the little group that we got together earlier, it was really powerful, the idea of recognizing that even if we're all coming together with whatever purposes we have, they end. They can shift out, things can become different. And so even the people that I'm only slightly engaging with in dropping little seeds or whatever, I'm still there with them, with my purpose of liberation and love. And so they get to be we get to be in it, even if it's just for a short period, and it can shift to, it's something about trusting the mystery and the ending, or letting go of the need for it to continue over time. Something around that was really powerful in the group we shared. Terry and Natalie, their wisdom around that was really powerful. So I just wanted to say that things come together, and then they may come back around. Thank you. That's all.
Yes, and in our pod, we don't say it a lot all the time, but it is understood that we are together because we have a shared purpose, and it continues to be clear. And if a day comes when purpose means, going in different directions, then that's what we will do. It's not like we see it as likely, but we surrender to it in some very deep way.
Thank you. It's trusting that mystery of life, that. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also somehow comes back to the thing about liberation, and like what is the depth of the purpose, and what is in relation to what. I think not many, I don't know how many of us are like dedicated to liberation in its fullness, and all of the discomfort and kind of crap that comes with doing that, like all the challenges, and there's a lot of joy and everything that comes from it as well, but it's hard to unpack our conditioning, and it's not easy to be with each other in it necessarily. So it really requires a lot of dedication and commitment. Yeah. And yeah. It's also, it's hard to start it, I think. Like, it requires a lot of dedication from the people that seed it together. Like within NGL, it's easier now to commit to it because there's a field that is created. And like, for instance, we know that we're oriented to metabolizing impacts, for instance. And I think that actually reduces the amount of conflict that we have, because we know we're in a field that cares for stuff that comes up for us that doesn't work for us. There'll be someone probably that we can meet up with to metabolize this impact and maybe support us to share it with the person. That's so unusual in life, and it creates it creates more possibility to go deeper. But if you're just starting out with someone who isn't connected to NGL maybe at all, doesn't have that trust that if that environment is there to hold the process, then it requires a lot more capacity for togetherness, walking towards conflict, staying together for the long haul. Yeah. That's so.
Thank you. Rosa, are you in the same thread?
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to say that. I'm a kind of having in mind searching for a community whose purpose I can share to enter in. I've been letting go a lot of people on this way because I found that it made no sense, maybe without explaining it so clearly. But now there's a lot of beautiful people that is not in the same liberation and I don't know, path that is covering a whole lot of other needs like belonging and support and I don't know, happiness and time. So and I don't really know anyone around me whom I would say I shared the same liberation purpose, and the sense that we need to change it all and question it all because that does not make sense at all, and it's destroying us and the planet. So I don't exactly know the question, but it's like how to identify someone. You you share a purpose so much, and what do you do with all the other needs? Because the need of purpose is very strong to me, but it's not the only one. And I don't know. So I'm just learning on the way and observing what's going on and trying to trust life and see where it takes me. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be, I don't know, patient enough to let it go and to flow. But I don't know if you can add something on that.
Emma, you have something?
Not immediately coming. If you have something.
No.
Okay.
The
Okay.
only that came is it's very small. It's not addressing the question with the capital Q, just one small
yeah.
piece, which
I actually
is
had a piece as well. Now I remembered. I forgot it. Yeah, go on.
which is we are used to seeing purpose and relationship as distinct from each other, sometimes even at odds with each other. And one of the things that we are beginning to discover is that purpose connection is a different energetic field of belonging. There is belonging that comes with shared purpose. It's not the same belonging as I like you. So it's like a small thing, and it's the only one that I know to say. It's very hard to put these things into words.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I now have two pieces. One is that yesterday or the day before, I discovered a need because I've been exploring relational needs, because that's something that I actually separated from in my childhood. So I'm like recovering them again now. And one that I articulated was participation in collaborative flows. And it's like when we're collaborating like within purpose something, like it's like I'm working together in some way. There's like when we do that, there's like a kind of gel or something that emerges and feeds us. And that can be like doing cleaning together in a group or working on a project together. Doesn't really matter what the topic is, but yeah. The other piece was, oh yeah, seeing purpose as an organizing principle for all the different needs rather than as one of the needs within the mix. Yeah, then I think that fits with what Mickey was saying about purpose having a different flavor of belonging, which we're just not familiar with, I think. And we can be kind of like scared of it because usually in how we think of purpose, it's like, I don't know, like working or not having choice in what we're doing or something, or it's somehow like focused in a certain way that is void of relationality, maybe. Yeah, so I feel like we're forging a new path also of what purpose means. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Let's hear from Aurora.
Okay.
Aurora, where are you?
I'm in Portugal.
Portugal. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, the question basically is how do you, for a lack of better word, how do you prioritize needs? What I mean, I was sharing within my group that I'm part of, I recently joined, well, not recently, like a year and a half ago, I joined a group of people that we were purpose related, and we had this project, and for the last months it had been really challenging, and two people out of the group had asked for an exit strategy, exit package, meaning we need to bring them back their money. And of course, this two people have needs, why they are asking for it. So, and both of them are important for them. So how do you prioritize which one goes first? Yeah. You're muted, Mickey.
Yeah, I just saw it. I have something that comes up, and I don't know if I completely understood your question, so I will let me know if it's not in the direction. Which is the purpose. If the purpose is a sole purpose, it's very different from if the purpose is an instrumental purpose. Like, we can have a shared purpose, which is to, support each other in making more money. I'm just giving a very bland example. That's an instrumental purpose. And I think instrumental purposes are always within each person's individual needs and reasons and purposes. They don't actually become something that glues the group together. Because if there is a shared purpose that is real, that binds you at the soul level, then it's not like
I guess she froze again.
Oh, she's back. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You called Mickey. We didn't hear you.
It's not
I
like
don't know
if there's a sole
the
purpose, it's not like
it binds us together. So if there's a problem that arises in anyone's life, they would bring it in rather than taking it out. And then it would be, these circumstances happen in my life. What are we going to do about my problem? That, I think, is, I can't remember who it was that asked something about how we work with people together. This is one of the things. It's,
Natalie.
oh yeah, it was Natalie. You exit the individual choice as the primary driver. It's not that you are against choice. It's that you relocate choice from being within an individual to being within an interdependent field that has so much more wisdom, capacity, resources, creativity, and anything.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, and there's something to that appeals to that, and yeah, but the rest of the group, I guess, the two people that asked for that exit package, even though the purpose as an umbrella purpose that we have, it might be solved, have both decided that they don't want to fulfill it within that group in that way. So they want their way out.
Yes, but that again means they have individually decided, instead of walking towards and saying, hey, look, I came here and the way we're doing things is so not working for me that I'm feeling myself keep pulling out. We must talk about this. I need to tell you all the shit that's not working for me so that we can figure out together, can this be transformed? Can we actually work together? Or does it actually make sense for us to unbundle? It's a different way of orienting.
No, it's because we already went through that step. We already went through, okay, this is not working. We talked about it. We put all the shit on the table, let's say, and talk about it, go through. But there's still people that it's not, and they want to go out. So, and we have put resources. So these people want their resources back. But let's say we have to give them 20 and 20. But now we have just 4, let's say. And then both of them have different needs for why they need their money back. So it's how do you prioritize who you are giving the money first, because they both need it.
It's very difficult because you're no longer in a shared purpose field.
Yeah,
You're not in
totally.
a field of togetherness.
Yeah,
When you are in a field of togetherness, you prioritize together.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but you cannot force, if someone wants out, you cannot force them to stay.
cannot- No, you can't force them to stay. But that means you need. Go ahead, Emma.
Just what I'm imagining it would look like if there was togetherness here would be like coming together, you need 20, you need 20. We only have 4. What do we do with the 4? Like, to actually talk with each other about what the needs are, where the most urgency is, where does it make sense to put the 4, does it make sense to split it, and then create some plan over time. And what they do in the meantime, well, they don't have that money, but doesn't sound like that's possible right now. But that's what I imagine it would look like if you had it.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
exactly what we did. It's like, okay, you need it because, okay, the financial institution, it's after you and you need to pay taxes. So you need it by July. And then the other person has health issues. So you need it. And in my mind, as a person, for me, the health is priority, but not for the entire group thinks that way. So it's like how, for me, it feels like a huge predicament. And how do you prioritize needs there?
I think I want to just say something on the meta level, which is the way that the questions are going aren't actually what I thought was going to happen, which is being asked about us and what we do and how we live and what we have learned. It's more being asked for what other people would do in their circumstances, which I'm not against. I just want to name it isn't what this was set out to be. And it's going to a level of detail at this point that it no longer feels to me on purpose to pursue. I'm wondering how it would be for you to leave it.
No, totally. I hear you. No, you're right. And yeah, no, thank you. It was helpful, whatever you ask, nonetheless, because yeah, that togetherness, it will make different questions. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to redirect attention to, there was a lot of reading that was included in the description, and there was an idea that people who have done the reading and are oriented to that, we will prioritize you. And I would like to know if there's anyone whose questions are from within that and are questions of exploring with us our life. That is what I thought we were doing here, and it's turning into a coaching call about different things, which I want to just take a breath and shift. And Ash, are you oriented to that?
Mickey, 2 things. So I just got your question, so that really helped distinguish. So I'm going to let go of what I was going to ask earlier. And I want to be transparent that I did not read that particular paper, but my question may be relevant, and feel free to decline if that's not what I want to make sure that it is useful to everybody and on purpose. So the situation I'm dealing with mimics probably everything that you have gone through here in your question. And that is, when, given who you are, Mickey, you are the creator, you have a very high purpose, people align on that purpose. But there's no question that sometimes one deals with a situation, especially somebody who reports to you. I don't mean in a direct.
No one reports to me.
Exactly. No, I'm aware. I'm just using those double quotes. Who views you as, right, somebody who has a shared purpose, they're part of it. But just it comes with reverence. It comes with the admiration towards you. Certain dynamics of a human being comes in that, given Mickey, if I were with you on that purpose within a very tightly unit, there would be situations where I would run into you, Mickey, where I would feel that I am not doing X right, and Mickey is telling me to do her way. I'm not saying you do that ever, because I've been with you, I've listened to you quite a bit. I don't think you do that at all. I'm just saying out there in the world, that does happen where a particular leader is attached to their way. How have you and the community who works with you closely, tightly, how have you broken past that? Where everybody is felt, I can sense the flow here. I can sense that everybody gets more than what they put in terms of the emotional satisfaction, fulfillment. I can pick it up very easily too, as everybody else can, which is why that inspires me to be here. How does that manifest? How does that get resolved? That's what my question is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I want to be that leader. I want to be that leader. Now, I do get feedback like that, but not with my direct report, right? I mean, sorry, my direct management right now as I'm dealing.
The word direct report is coming up a second time, and that to me is telling. It is telling to me that somewhere within you, you haven't exited the dynamics of dominance and submission. Not fully. You cannot, I cannot bring those words to come out of my mouth. I wouldn't be able to. It would be like passing what is it called? The hydrochloric acid through my mouth. It would hurt to say those words because they're so at odds with what my felt sense is of what it means to be human. The relationship of direct report is not a human relationship. It is an instrumental relationship in which purpose resides in a person and the others follow that person. And this isn't how life is organized. When you live in the way that we are trying to live, purpose is here. And we all look at it. And people, yes, it's true, people trust my view of it sometimes more because they trust my experience, but not because I have some kind of structural authority. And it is also the case that people come with a lot of disempowerment, a lot. And so they put it on me, now also on Emma. And bit by bit, everyone who finds themselves fully empowered, others will put that on them to some degree. And one of the ways we're dealing with it is recognizing that in order to play with us, people need to have a certain baseline of capacity to trust themselves and make choice from within so that they don't submit. And I'm very curious to hear from some other people who engage in an ongoing way. Emma, I thought Terry also, who was with us for a while, and Kirsten. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Yeah, what came up for me when you said you want to be that leader, whatever that is pointing to, I was thinking of like what it is that we're doing and what kind of qualities that consists of. And one that came to mind is a phrase that I thought of recently. It's specifically in relation to men, is about becoming a source of care. Because so much what we're doing is oriented to remothering humanity, essentially, as a way of like surrounding the patriarchal field with love. It's like re-imbuing care as a primary human orientation to life, as something that is like really important, you know, and not just something that women are like trained into, and that that exists in like certain aspects of life and not in others, but actually as a primary orientation, which means like learning how to remother. Like, what does it mean to be a mother, and really taking on and integrating those qualities within you, integrating like something that Mickey does and that we're also learning to do as we're integrating this kind of leadership capacity, is being able to integrate, to hear the different needs, find integrative pathways, draw out the life that and the vision, the dream that is in someone, so that we can bring all of it to the table and actually have more information to be able to engineer solutions that actually work for everyone, or work for more people. Tracking, being able to track what's actually happening. Yeah, like relational loops, caring for relational loops. Yeah, I think there's one of the packets, maybe it's I don't know if it's a leadership. Is it still called that, Mickey? Leadership as a way of life? I don't know. I don't know which, maybe it's that packet, I can't remember right now. Like, has lots of these sorts of qualities in it. So I would see it as like embedding those within you as much as possible and just living from it. So you become your integration of these qualities, these practices, and then you just be. You don't need to do anything then. You're just like a living vision drop of what it could mean to be a man who's that kind of role model for humans, for other humans. Would be amazing. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And both. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just laughed. It was nice.
Okay. Yeah,
The
and
response.
Mickey and Emma both. I just got three things, really, and this is the crux of it that I came to the call for, and I'm liberated in that sense. The three things are that, Mickey, when you said about, clearly what is happening in most of the organizations I participate with, there is this discourse about follow me versus the purpose. That now I can see light and day. We were being kind of so directed and prescribed, this is how you're going to do it, and you're going to follow me. In fact, the messages that I read before the call between me and the management was exactly that. And now I can see the difference. So thank you. And second is that it really empowers me to have the conversation first thing tomorrow in this larger context is going to be about with the leaders, is that how are you going to restore the reason why I want to meet with them tomorrow is about how do we restore their flow? How do I be the leader who can restore their flow while restoring my team's flow as well? So Emma, thank you for that. I think you mentioned about flow earlier. And the other thing I'm taking away is that, what a cool thing would it be? What a fulfilling thing it will be to be a leader who is a source of care. And what are they yes to in that regard? Would they like to be a source of care and respect integrative pathways? Because that's what has been missing. So I can't thank you enough. So thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mickey, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm curious if Terry or Kirsten would like to add anything. No have to, but if you do, I would love it.
I can add something. I want to say that when I first arrived in Turkey, in Ankara, Turkey, and Mickey and Emma greeted me at midnight, it was almost like meeting a rock star to me. I mean, I was like, oh my God, she's for real, they're for real. But very quickly, I sensed that the purpose was what was happening there. I don't know how to explain it. I wasn't told what to do, or this is, what I just sensed that the purpose was happening, and I found ways to support it on my own. It was amazing. I could say a little more about girl party, but being there for that, then more of this became real, and I felt more empowered during the girl party because I was held, held. I was held by everyone, and I was
Just so,
reminded what my power was. Yeah.
I was
just
going
so
to say
everybody
that
knows, the
Terry
girl
responded
party,
to Terry responded to a message that we put out for people to come and support with Yaron and Alpa when Maya May was born. Terry responded to that, so that's why we met her in Turkey at midnight. It wasn't just like random.
Yeah. And the girl party was 3 weeks in which we were 8 women and a toddler, that same Maya May, with 2 men on both ends for just a few days on each side. But for 2 solid weeks, we were only the 8 women and the toddler, and the flow that happened there was very, very different. So that's what Terry's talking about. Is that
Yeah,
flow.
and so what I was referring to is just this being held, because I was probably the least experienced in NGL of all the people there, but I was held in that and reminded of, I mean, my gifts, the things that I had to offer were recognized, and very gently I was guided by everyone in NGL. It was just really, truly one of the most wonderful experiences I've ever had.
And we pay her to say this. Okay. Kirsten, you want to say something or?
Yeah, every time I had a perfect thing in my head, and now I'm speaking and somebody took it from me. So I'll just try to find the thread. Yeah, it's for me it was also the reporting to Mickey was kind of sounded kind of funny and very far removed from how I experience working together with you and with Emma also. It's really this thing of getting feedback that makes sense. So, and it's just, yeah, it's supportive getting feedback, and I can think about it on my own. And now I'm stumbling about my thoughts. And I don't know if I find them. But it's really, I always have a sense of not having to follow anything, but getting a gift that is inspiring, and I can, if it does not make sense to me, I would think about it a second time, because I very much trust that most of what I'm hearing from you is making sense. And if it really does not make sense for me, I also have the opportunity to go into conversations about it, and it's always a sense of thinking for myself makes is really appreciated. So it's not I have to follow something. It just makes so much sense for me. That's why I'm when I'm doing things, I'm doing them. So it's yeah, and also I remember a meeting where Mickey said she wanted to speak last, and I'm in the events team in NGL, so that's why we're connected. And she wanted, as an empowerment move, to speak to us, to speak first our ideas. So the path is not already paved and we are just following, but to bring our ideas. And then she brought her thoughts to that and enriched the potpourri. So that's also something, yeah, a concrete example of being and yeah, it's only one example of being asked to try it on my own and then getting coaching on it, for example, and not getting, yeah, you do that and you follow. It's a very different thing, and I'm not sure if that makes sense. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm just interested. It's interesting to hear both you and Terry speak, but you've not actually been involved with each other before, I don't think really. So you have very different experiences as well. And you've both said that you kind of came in and just did your own thing and found your way and then got feedback and support. And it's just really cool to have that mirror as something that's happening in NGL and part of what kind of creates the culture.
It's interesting because it leads me to see that the people who come in recognize the purpose and then start looking around to see, like, what's mine to do in relation to the purpose? What can I pick up? What isn't already being done by someone else? Okay, I can do this, and then doing it. The people who do that keep walking towards more and more involvement, more and more self-trust and trust of others, more and more empowerment, more and more responsibility. It just happens.
Yeah. And that's what you said that I did as well. I wasn't like invited into a team or something. I just came and joined it basically and saw what I could do and what gap points there were, and just yeah. Interesting.
And the people who are waiting for somebody to tell them what there is to do, they will fall away because we don't actually have the capacity to have somebody tell somebody else what to do. We are all doing. So it's like, you want me to tell you what to do, just come be by my side and you'll figure it out. And if you don't, you just don't. Yeah. Jillian?
Thank you. When you said about those who have read, and I was like, oh, I've read some of that. So one of the things that came up for me for the RTTC, which is responding to the call of our times. It's a Friday. It meets on a Friday for me, and they were talking about the impact digestion portion of what they were offering, and people were like, oh, impact sharing, impact digestion, impact sharing. And I understand, I wasn't actually a part of it, a little bit of a mess occurred when the impact sharing was brought forward. Like, wait, who and I later went back to them. I said, who agreed to that? What are the skills needed? And so what I'm wondering, because I am imagining that you have a huge trust field, you have a great commitment, and that impact digestion, as I understand it, is me getting empathy, me trying to understand my thoughts of why I might have seen or interpreted something. But impact sharing is actually within the container being willing to receive what I may have done on, not intended, or being able to receive somebody fully, even if they are judging me, or even if I am, whatever it is that has happened, if there was impact, I guess the word I would say. So I'm wondering how your group has evolved in that component. And I'm asking for the others as well, because there was a real curiosity, like, what does that mean? What are we doing? So thank you.
Emma, I'm wondering if this might be a moment to call in Eddie.
Possibly.
If you don't think so, then
I
think I just want to say, but
it's not been in the flow, and
in simplicity, impact sharing is person A who has been impacted saying to person B what the impact is. That is what impact sharing simply is. And there are varying degrees of how much digestion there happened before the impact sharing, how much holding of the space there is, how are we distributing the responsibility between the person sharing and the person receiving, and all these, there are many variables. So it's not like there's any cut and dry anything. I just wanted to say that in general. Yeah. Emma, go ahead, whatever you were going to say.
And just because you talked about the evolution of it, and I guess it's evolved from just straight impact sharing. Like, I don't know, I can only speak between me and Mickey. There's like, when we started this journey, there weren't any structures at all. We didn't even have, well, I didn't even have the word, there were no packets. There was no anything really. But I mean, MVC and whatever you'd created before and that, but all the stuff that we're working with now, there wasn't any of that. So there was just like straight impact sharing, and me not being able to receive impacts, and it was taking a long time for me to integrate that capacity as well. But along that journey, there have been other people that have come in that have been trying to like learn how to support this thing and what is this impact sharing thing, and conversations about it, and then kind of articulating it more, then starting to come into packets, and then creating like Fox and Sabrina created a dance floor type thing with impact sharing. So that's been used a bit up to like now within what we call the preliminary feedback system. I created like different, like a scale, a 1 to 10 scale, which details like different levels of digestion of an impact. And there's some other scale as well, but it doesn't really matter what that is. It's a way of indicating when we say we have an impact, how much we're able to hold ourselves and hold the other person's humanity, and kind of be in simple dialogue about the impact when we share it. And then on the opposite end of the sharing, if an impact is going to be shared, then within the team that's holding this whole system, the person that's going to receive the impact says what level of digestion they're willing to receive. So if the person who has the impact is like, full of judgments and hatred of this person and whatever, it's possible that the other person is like, yeah, I can totally receive that. Like, I'm fully connected to myself and this other person's humanity, that I can really just take that and support them to digest it live. Or it may be that they're saying, no, I really need them to be, digested to a certain degree. And then the person who has the impact can get support to digest it to that level. And then the impact could be shared. So we're really like kind of engineering it so that impacts can be shared, and we can restore the flow of information that we've been so cut off from, with like, the fear of conflict and all that we've internalized for obvious reasons given our history. Yeah, so that's a description of the journey that I'm aware of anyway. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the evolution of what's been happening for you. And this little last piece of where the receiver of the possible receiver of the impact has some kind of a say in, I don't want to be spewed upon, but I am willing to listen to what happened, or go ahead, spew, I see you as a beloved child or whatever, and you can spew away, and I will still listen for the needs underneath there. So it's like, yeah, that to me gave a place of power for the receiver, because I've seen people are like, I have an impact and this is what happened, and the receiver's like, okay. And they either can or cannot hear it, right? They cannot digest it themselves. Like, oh, was that an additional impact on me from the impact on you? I'm not sure. So I can see the need. I'm really happy to hear that scale thing. And I'm curious about that actually. And I'd like to maybe see it. somewhere.
Yeah, it's in the, I mean, if you see on the NGL calendar, it's called the preliminary feedback system calls. They happen once a month. So you can come and see, yeah, be in that whole structure that we've created.
See it in action.
Kind of, yeah. I think it's only people that are in teams. No, you're on a team now, so you would receive that email at some point. It's a weekly email that asks for if there's feedback for someone, and then you're invited to go through the system that I've just described. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions you would like to ask of us? Andrew. Please
You're
unmute.
muted.
Yeah, hi. I'm one of those people you referred to at the beginning that is usually very shy about talking. So I'm just, but I hope I'm not kind of returning to some of the areas that we've already covered too much. But I would like to. I have read the package, by the way, which has been very helpful in terms of listening to the conversations that's gone so far. I guess one of the things that I'm left with, and I think this was perhaps addressed at the end of the package, was that, I really wonder about, being someone who's in the position of being fully in the patriarchal groove, sort of operating or existing within a system of accumulation and so forth, and individualism. Most of the people around me, I think all the relationships sort of are within that kind of complex. I just sort of wonder about, what is it that a person, like myself, who is aligned with many of the kinds of values that I'm hearing here, and the idea of a pod or a kind of a community of people who have a purpose which they share, and that is very attractive to me. I really, like that idea, and I'd like to move towards it, but I just don't see the hope of ever really being able to incorporate myself into such a kind of communitarian endeavor. So I'm just wondering, like, what is there a sort of, is there a way, is there some kind of midway point? Is it possible to conceive of a partial kind of pod, or a partial sort of being in with a group of people who share the same values, but which isn't sort of, for example, co-located, or is somehow not entirely kind of on its own as an entity? Is it possible to sort of, envisage such a grouping? And what can one do within the restraints of being in a very kind of, patriarchal normative culture and a set of arrangements? So I'm sorry, that's a rather long question, but
I have a starting point, which is shared values don't hold water. The water is material. In order to move in the direction that we're talking about, changes need to be on the material plane, not on the idea plane. So can it be partial? We are experimenting with that within NGL. There are people who are in more or less shared risk. But the difference is not idea. The difference is matter. If you keep all your resources to yourself, you will stay fully within the system as it is. So the idea of starting from shared value is already within this. I'll tell you a little story. I used to be part of we called ourselves community. At the moment, I wouldn't call it a community anymore. My idea of what counts as community has changed very much. But we called ourselves a community. This was like 25 years ago. We were meeting every week on a Thursday evening at somebody's home and discussing various ideas and a lot of common interests and a lot of vision, this, vision, that. We thought we were super cool. 2 years into it, somebody brought up the idea of sharing resources. And then two things happened. The first was seeing how the response to that was fear and contraction, because people were connecting to what they would lose and they were not connecting to what they would gain. And the next thing that happened is within a few weeks, the so-called community disintegrated. And I wouldn't make much of it if it didn't happen in another so-called community a few months later, the exact same move, the exact same results. So I'm thinking that the question, when you're talking about partial, the question would be, which resources am I willing to share with whom? Like really share. Not which values do I share, which resources. The part of what led to what we're doing now, part of it emerged from several weeks of being in the desert. That was Emma and I with a third person, Erin Silver, where we were literally in a no exit situation. And when I say literally, I mean it. There was snow. Our vehicle wouldn't have been able to exit, and we were stuck there. It's not like we were intending to leave. We brought with us food for the 4 weeks that we were going to be there. This is a place in the desert that has no electricity, no amenities except water that comes from a warm spring and a lot of beauty. And so we had what we needed, but whatever we didn't have, there was no way to get anything. There was no way to leave. And it changed us. It changed us because if you can't leave, it goes back to Aurora's question. If you actually can't leave, then you must work out the issues that arise. You just have to. What I mean by have to is not an imposed human have to. I mean have to as in biologically you have to. And so how much of a no exit situation are you willing to create in your life with other people? How much of your resources are you willing to share? How much of the decisions are you willing to make with other people and release the ultimate, I can exit and make my own decisions? We don't make our own decisions.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that a bit more. I can't remember the different numbers, but the decision-making matrix. Do you remember what the different levels of it are?
Yes, one is the person.
You detail different areas of your life where you make decisions, and then for each area you choose a number, which Mickey will say what the numbers are. Then that determines what level of openness you have about decision making and who with in different areas of your life.
Yeah, so one is the person who senses when it's time when something needs a decision in this area. They don't make the decision, but they sense it, and they hold it with such care that they are willing to make the decision if the energy doesn't coalesce. Two is, I want to participate in this decision. It's important enough to me that I want to participate. Three means I will give input and then entrust it to others. Four means this kind of decision impacts me. I don't want to participate in it. I don't have enough energy. I won't even give input. But please tell me when you've made a decision and changed anything in this area. And five means I just don't care. Please don't send me any emails about this. I just want to be out of the loop about this. Like painting the walls, I don't give a shit. Pick your color, paint it. Just tell me when I need to be out of the house. And that's how we function. And if there's something that doesn't fit, then you figure out who you're going to ask input from to make the decision. It's fluid. And it's not up to you. Nothing will be imposed on you, and nothing is just up to you. It's a paradox. It's so much beauty. I just love it. I wouldn't want anything else ever again. Did that help, Andrew?
Yes, it's just given me a lot more to think about, to process. But yeah, I really like what you were saying about the decision making. I hadn't thought of it in those in that sort of continuum. So yeah, thank you.
Janice, within the same thread, or no question? No question. Okay. So Brandon, Kyla, and Leah.
Hi, I was wondering if you all could talk a little bit more of that material plane side of things, like your day-to-day life together, and as you're like, what are you up to now? And as you're moving towards maybe living on land together, what do you think would change between the way that you're living together now and then?
That's Emma's. No?
Well, I mean, we can both talk about how we're living daily here.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to start from there.
Okay. Shall I bring the cardboard thing to show the cardboard thing? We have a little cardboard that has items that we talk about over meals, and we have Post-its that we put on it with specific items that are not regular ones. So we do a lot of our conversations over food.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like kind of distributing how things happen, like who's cooking, who's chopping, filling the dishwasher, emptying the dishwasher, doing other cleaning, dishes cleaning, or I don't know, laying out the cable for the internet, whatever whatever it is, it's all oriented in relation to what's possible, really, like what the different capacity levels are, what other things we have scheduled or not, like who can do this thing, whatever it is. Within the group that we are now, like the three of us, me, Mickey, Eddie, and also Aurelia, who was here and just left, there's actually a lot of simple flow because we're all oriented to caring for the flow of the space. And so it's really a matter of like, you know, who's able to do what, and we just look at calendars and kind of distribute tasks. There's no sense of fairness. If someone's cooking like 5 days the week, then because that's what makes sense, then that's what happens. And we yeah, try as much as possible to distribute other things in other ways so that we don't get exhausted, or we just leave things undone if that's what, you know, if that's what was within capacity.
This thing about
Yeah.
non-fairness is so significant, because you bring fairness into it and you destroy flow. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you bring in also resentment, and it actually like adds weight. It means that there's less willingness to move and care for the collective flow if we're not actually integrating what works for each other into how we do things. Yeah, and
I want to add one more thing to it, which is that we've been 2 or 3 women and 1 man. And one of the things that we have landed on after a very long time of multiple different conversations is that there is something potent for women when men do housework in a significant way. It just has potency to it. And that factors into the decisions. So Eddie has complete and total willingness in certain moments to be the one who is like the default to do something, because it lives in him as care, because he knows what the positive impact of that is. And it has been deeply moving when that has happened.
Yeah, this connects back to the source of care thing that I was talking about before with Ash. So yeah, sometimes we've like skewed it in certain ways because, you know, if you ask who's willing to do a task, there are certain people, certain groups that have been trained to be in certain ways that are more going to easily find more willingness to do certain things. So yeah, I remember a few years ago we created some kind of code system where we asked a bunch of questions. I don't remember it clearly enough to actually speak about it, but it supported us to both see who was willing to do a certain thing and then skewed the answers in a certain way to give a more to visibilize the patterning and support us to be able to choose who would do certain things in ways that also subverted the conditioning. So we also have a liberative approach to caring for the material plane as well. And yeah, moving towards getting on land together. This is like a big, it's a big question that's up, especially because of being a mainly online community. And land requires a lot of material care and orientation. So it's something that I'm really wanting to experiment with. And after, for the next place that we live in, we're planning to like do little experiments. And like I did a little experiment when we were in Turkey, just simply with the flow of the house, like from the compost system, compost out to the garden where I was growing food and then having food come back into the house. Terry was involved in that, setting up that project. And just seeing, like, because we were there for a short amount of time, we needed to, I wanted to make compost really quickly, for instance. So then I learned how to do that, and just like, basically that it's like our digestive system, and the more you chew your food, the easier it digests, and it takes less energy to do its thing. So we were just like chopping up the vegetables really small. And I needed to explain to people why this was important and how that was mirroring us. And then they would see it decompose, and then we'd do stuff in the garden together, and then we were eating the food, and just it was just like that kind of thing really anchors us more in those life systems, which is so important for being on land. And yeah, we're not like super connected to that, I don't think, in our group at the moment. but I'm orienting to doing more experiments like that kind of thing, just to try and reawaken that knowledge. And yeah, real like life connection. There was a lot of mourning when we closed the compost system. I closed it like 6 weeks before we left because the last bit of it needed to decompose before we left. And so it was something about like consciously closing something like that as well. And it's like, okay, now we're going to put all of these vegetables into the normal bin, outside, and we're going to go back to having, I don't know, 7 bin bags rather than 2, and just really seeing the material impact of it. It was really, it brought up a lot of grief for people. So that's how I'm, orienting to doing that. And it's again a big engineering thing, with like what's people's willingness and capacity and interest, and how to kind of use all of those elements as material to build the project itself, so that there isn't like a have to energy or something. It just really comes from within. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So I'm noticing we are almost at the agreed time to end, and there's one more question, and I'm inclined to just take that one more question and answer it and end a few minutes late. And if anybody really needs to leave, then feel free to do so. Janice.
Thank you for taking the question. And I think it won't be a long one. It's a real nuts and bolts question that I'm yearning to know. How do you welcome people into spending time in the pod? And are there people who are coming? By the sounds of it, it hasn't been the same 4 people for all these years. There's been movement back and forth. I'm just curious about how that flow of people coming in and moving through has been.
The 3 of us, Eddie, Emma, and I, have been doing this for 3 years. And Emma and I for a year and a half before then, in search of more people. And Aurelia has been coming and going for 2 years and is gradually becoming more and more part of us. And there have been a lot of people coming for short periods. So that's the layout. And you think this is a small question. It's a huge question. So I will say the simplest things that I can say that we have learned, which is we underestimate the force of our field and how disorienting it is for people to come in. It's very difficult to explain to people sufficiently the rigor of impact sharing and how much it takes. People like the idea, and we've had several incidents of massive trauma reactions arising in people. So it's the impact sharing is fire. Fire is potent and wonderful and nourishes and also can have impacts. People also underestimate, and we don't know how to convey sufficiently, the intensity of our purpose focus. And we've had experiences of people coming and wanting, like, when do we hang out? We don't. It happens as part of purpose. And it's hard for people to adapt to this. And slowly, we are learning that we actually need to name and frame what are the baseline capacities that are necessary for somebody to be with us and be able to participate well for their well-being and ours. We were underdoing that, and there have been some painful situations, and not as much recently. That's the short version.
Great. That's a good backdrop. Thank you.
All right. Let's hear from a couple of people who have not participated. If you can name a nugget of what you're taking with you. What was meaningful? Noor.
I love this relocating choice from individual field to interdependent field. A relocating of the choice. Yeah, thank you.
I'm glad you like it. What else? I'd love to hear 2 or 3 more before we close, because it's food for us for putting out what we put out. Tara?
Yeah, about the decision-making matrix and that nothing will be imposed on you and nothing is up to you. I thought that was really powerful. Thank you.
Lynn?
You were talking about exiting, and then later you talked about used the word unbundle, and it was such a shift for me to hear that instead of exit, to say unbundle.
Yes, because that is a shared decision. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you for your interest.
Yeah, this was super fun.
Yes. Yeah, it's like some sense that we've learned a thing or two over these years. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. And nice to meet you, Emma.
Thank you.